Good afternoon. I am Barbara Shinda with Penn State Health, and we are coming to you live from the campus of Messiah College at the Women in Business Forum for Ask Us Anything About Women and Stress. I am joined today by Lene Ampersand, who is the Program Manager for Behavioral Health in the Department of Psychiatry at Penn State Health. We welcome your questions and comments for Lene. Just post them in the comment field of this post. Lene, thanks so much for joining us today.
Welcome.
So let's start with the basics. Tell us, what is stress, and is it always bad?
Stress is our body's natural reaction to things that cause us discomfort or distress, and it could be an adjustment to just change and things that we're going through. So it's not always bad. When you think of childbirth, that's distress and discomfort, so that can definitely cause us stress. Marriage, job promotion, if you're really hoping for different things. So there's a lot of different reasons that will cause the anxiety to come in us, but it's not always bad.
Okay, so it's not always something to worry about. So tell us, what are some of the symptoms of stress, both mental, emotional, physical? So how do I know I'm stressed out?
Well, one of the things is a lot of people feel like their heart beating really fast, or they could start sweating. Muscle tension is another thing that could cause, just things to look out for. Frequent urination, running to the bathroom every time you're feeling stressed. Also, our eating habits and our patterns. And so there's a lot of different reasons that we just really, the most important thing I can say is to pay attention to your body.
And when you are feeling these symptoms of stress, when does it become a problem?
It becomes a problem when it's going on for a prolonged period of time. A lot of times we might have heard the fight or flight symptoms, that response that the body has. And our body isn't meant to have that frequent, prolonged fight or flight response and being in that high stress situation. Usually that's when we're facing a life-endangering situation when it helps us to react. But sometimes we can react over, oh my goodness, I missed the bus, and it puts us in that stage, and it's definitely not healthy to stay in that stage for a long time.
Okay, so what are some of the ill effects health-wise of stress? Does it cause any type of, cardiac problems or inflammation, digestive issues? Does stress, I know a lot of people say, oh, I'm so stressed out, my stomach is hurting. Is that normal?
Well, a lot of times stress enhances some of the things that are already there. So for those of us, for example, who may have arthritis, stress decreases our pain tolerance. So therefore, it would make you feel some of the pain more. Some of our GI issues that we have acids in our bodies, so our stress level can increase those and cause whether it's bloatingness or different things like that. So there's an underlining effects that are there that stress can just enhance.
Okay, so again, we are coming to you live from the campus of Messiah College at the Women in Business Forum for Ask Us Anything About Women and Stress. We welcome your questions for Lene Ampersand. You can post them in the comment field on this post, and we will get an answer for you. And we also, we have a live question here, so Elizabeth is going to join us. She has a question about stress. Hi, how are you?
Great, how are you? So I was just wondering, I've been really stressed, kind of personal obligations and work life, and that tends to spiral. Do you have any tips on how I can kind of mitigate that stress when it starts so that it doesn't add and build and build?
Well, and the thing is, for us as women, we are juggling so many different things. And so we do have a lot of things, plates that we're doing. So make sure, I would say some mindfulness things that just make sure when you're driving down the street and you're at a red light, pay attention to how tightly you may be gripping on the steering wheel, or pay attention to your breathing. That will give you an indication that, okay, there may be something I need to do to relax and breathe in and breathe out, different things like that. But I think that if you know the symptoms of your body and know things that are different, and you can have little breaks that you can take, whether it's a beautiful day today, I don't know if wherever you work, if you're able to just go out for a couple of minutes, but just include some daily activities that you can do and daily tricks to make sure you're giving yourself a break so it doesn't get overwhelming.
Great, thank you.
Thanks so much, Elizabeth. We appreciate it. So again, we are watching Ask Us Anything About Women and Stress. We welcome your questions for Lene Ampersand. And if you find this information useful, please feel free to share it on your timeline. So let me ask you, is stress different for men and women? What makes stress different for women?
Well, the stress hormone, cortisol, that in women, it can increase our ability to, well, not ability, but it can increase our desire to, with overeating, sometimes undereating, just are different as women, different hormonal things, whether it's with menopause or just with our menstrual cycles and different things like that. And so because it increases the hormone level, it can affect the way men and women feel the outcome of that. And so we retain a lot of it signals and triggers weight gain, to store fat, not that weight gain. So then that could also affect body image and different things like that. So.
Okay, so other than hormones having the effect, as you mentioned, if a woman's going through menopause, if she's going through her menstrual cycle, that can add a little bit more. What about life cycles? If you were going through a big life change, say that you are about to become an empty nester, is that gonna cause some difference in your stress level?
It could. Becoming an empty nester is one of those things that could cause distress, and it's changed and it's causing you to adjust to your new lifestyle. So there could be an anxiety of what do I do now without a schedule, or a lot of times just worrying about what the next stage will hold. So it's different for different life stages. So.
Okay, and you had mentioned in response to Elizabeth's question some tips about how to keep your stress under control. So are those kinds of things you recommend doing on a daily basis? If I'm sitting at my office desk and I'm very, very busy and feeling a little stressed out, what else might you recommend to deal with that?
Right. Well, I do recommend taking a break. There's a lot of things on YouTube and online you can search. There's stretching, so you could do yoga at your desk, and there's some YouTube videos for that. But also making sure you're being mindful of what's going on in your body. So even eating a piece of candy, if you eat some of the candy and focus on the flavor, focus on the texture of the candy as you're maybe looking out the window or something like that. If you distract at least 2 or 3 of your senses, that will help distract you from whatever stressful situation is. And the goal is to bring your blood pressure, your heart rate, your breathing down, just anything to calm you down with it.
Okay, so when you're eating that candy, instead of just unwrapping it and, quickly eating it,
right.
You want to take a minute, enjoy the taste, enjoy the texture. Very helpful. So what about alcohol? A lot of people say, I've had a busy day, I've been stressed out, I'm ready for a glass of wine. Is that helpful, or could it be hurtful for dealing with stress?
It's funny you should say that, because alcohol seems like it's the number one cure-all for stress. Everybody's like, I need a drink, or hey, let's go out to a drink. And just focusing on what you're getting from that. A lot of times it's the social aspect, just hanging together, talking, getting together with friends, venting. That's all the helpful part of that. Hey, let's go get a drink. Now, if you're using alcohol to self-medicate, or if you're finding that you're going to it as your number one go-to, then that's where it can become harmful, especially if the alcohol starts disrupting your activities of your daily, everyday.
Okay. You are watching Ask Us Anything About Women and Stress. Again, we are live on the campus of Messiah College. We welcome your questions for Lene Ampersand, who is the program manager for behavioral health at Penn State Health. So let me ask you, we are all... you had mentioned, women are spinning a lot of plates. We have a lot of things going on. And a lot of people feel a lot of pressure to perform so well at their job that sometimes people feel guilty about taking days off. Yes. So what are the benefits of taking that time off, taking a vacation?
I am a huge advocate of vacation days. They're personal time off, whether I call them mental health days or rediscover me days. It's so huge and important, especially if you can even just take a day off and not have a schedule, unless your schedule is the itinerary of a spa. It's really helpful just to stay in your PJs and just be. And so every time people think vacation means you have to spend money or you have to do different things, and you don't. It's just that unplugging, thinking about your likes and dislikes. And so I'm a huge proponent of self-care.
So a staycation is just as useful as a vacation. So what about if I am, we work with a lot of coworkers and a lot of teamwork happening. What can I do? Is there anything I can do if I notice a coworker is very stressed out? What kind of help can we offer our friends, coworkers, family if we see they look overwhelmed?
Yeah. One of the things is just buddy up and say, hey, do you want to go for a walk? Or, hey, come with me while I go down the hall. Everybody's work setting is different. But make sure we're taking true lunch breaks. If you notice that your coworker is eating through a project or something, just like, hey, step away and take a moment. But if we can just help each other out, even if notes of encouragement. So a lot of times if you can like slip a note or say something funny or just make them laugh, just anything to give them that break in their thinking, that will help.
Very good. So if you are feeling really overwhelmed, really stressed out, and you think that you might need to be to the point where you might need professional help, what do you recommend? Should somebody call their PCP, or should they call a mental health counselor? What's the best way to help with stress?
The best way is, one of the things is we don't know the intensity, whereas one person can think it's not as dangerous for them. It can be affecting their lives in dangerous ways. So definitely there is nothing wrong with calling a counselor. A lot of times there's just a little unsettledness and uneasiness and just a stigma against seeking out counseling, professional help. There is nothing wrong with that. I know that for any college students, a lot of the campuses have student health services. I know at the Community of Medicine at our college at Penn State Health, we have our student mental health services and counseling. So definitely utilize the supports. A lot of professional businesses have an employee assistance program. So that's one of the things that you can find out if your business has that. And a lot of times they offer 2 to 3 free sessions.
Okay, thank you. And we do have a question here from Jewel. Jewel is wondering, what is the difference between anxiety and stress?
So one of the things is stress is, as I said in the beginning, that normal reaction to change and different situations in our life. The anxiety comes when it's increasing. So when the stress levels are increasing, that it's causing extra physical things, emotional things going on that could interfere with your daily life. So
thank you. And thank you, Jewel. And we have another question from the crowd. Come on in. You can join us. And what is your name? Tracy? Hi, Tracy.
Hi there. My question is, how does one turn their mind off during meditation? It's supposed to be great to relieve stress, but I can never turn my mind off.
That is a great question. I second that.
Yeah, that is a great question. And a lot of times that's why I say explore meditation might be something that doesn't work for you. And so just explore several different things that can help you. What I would say with meditation that a lot of times it's forcing you to just sit quiet and be. So maybe you need some other visuals. And so I have a stress ball here. And so a lot of times people just think if I squeeze it quickly, it will help, but just really focusing on the squeezes and the textures and just focusing on things to be able to calm you down. So I think with the meditation, you might need to engage some of your other senses, whereas if you're listening, or you might have to engage sight or sound or smell just to help bring you back. So if you notice you're drifting off, then engage the other senses to like maybe pop something in, a little candy in your mouth or something flavorful, so that it gives you more things to focus on, so your mind's not wandering off, and you can have your stuff. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tracy. So I noticed too, you're also holding something else in your hand. Is this a little stress tip, deal with stress tip?
Stress tip. So one of the things too is I also have, I created this for myself. It's a mouse pad of when I went, I had a girls' vacation away, and that was part of my other self-care. But this is my mindfulness technique that you can use, that you can just stare at. And for me, because this is someplace I've been, I can remember then what it felt like, how hot it was. I can envision the sound of the ocean, and then it's engaging my visual. So it's you can do that in your office. You can frame some videos or frame some pictures and have them around your office. That I'm not telling you to not do any office work, but if you need that couple of minutes, just something that you can stare off to and focus to get your mind off of whatever project that you're working on that's causing anxiety or stress.
Very helpful. Thank you. And we do have another question from the crowd. Please come in. Kim? Hi, Kim. Thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Interesting question. At my age, an awful lot of us think that if we have a glass of wine or maybe a big old bowl of ice cream, that's a great way to relieve stress. Is it really effective, or are we just talking ourselves into what we want?
Right, and that is a great question, and you have to be careful, because a lot of times, that's what I say, society says like, oh, ice cream and eating and let's go for a drink. That's something that can help relieve stress. But you also have to be careful of the cortisol that increases our desire for sweets and for carbohydrates and different things, and we could overeat. And so it's good to just spread out your techniques and ways to relax. I would say with that glass of wine, spend time more socializing. So it's not like 2 or 3 or 4 the whole bottle. Just get the benefits of what the socialization does in the conversation, as opposed to the alcohol or the eating, because it could increase if that's your go-to all the time. If you have diabetes, then that could increase there with the ice cream, or if alcoholism down the road, if you continue to increase your intake. So you just have to be careful.
Thank you very much. I have one more question. So you had mentioned before, if you're seeking professional help, counseling, and that sometimes people are hesitant to do something like that because they feel like there's a stigma. So could you kind of explain, how to get started? What is counseling? How does it work?
Okay. Counseling is, you would call, you could call us or one of your local agencies, but basically it's setting you up with somebody who is there to help you, it's like a puzzle piece, just to lay everything out so that you can understand what's going on, understand why you're stressed, and help put some of the pieces together on how you can deal with it in a healthy way. And so it's not intimidating. It's really meant to meet you where you're at, and just to have that sounding board a lot of times, just to understand what's going on in a sounding board, to figure out, okay, what can I do next? It doesn't mean you have to be in counseling forever. A lot of times people think, oh, all I'm going to get is medication. It doesn't mean that. It's just really figuring out what's going on and what's the best way we can help.
Okay, and you are watching Ask Us Anything About Women in Stress. Even if you are watching this on playback, we welcome your questions or comments for Lene. We will make sure that we get an answer for you. And thanks again for joining us, and thank you for joining us. This has been Ask Us Anything About Women in Stress with Penn State Health.